Well, today is August 24th. It's going to be a very interesting episode. As you know, we already reviewed the latest Stardom event that took place on the 21st, as they're calling it Nagoya Midsummer Encounter, also known as Stardom times Stardom 2022, where we witness, of course, the new crowning of the Goddess of Stardom champions. However, I never actually saw the day 8 of the 5-star Grand Prix by Stardom, but luckily it's already been uploaded on the watchprowrestling.org. You guys can see it from there, and I've managed to see the whole thing. We're also going to be reviewing the latest ChocoPro event, which is Chris Brookes' birthday special, and from what I'm hearing and seeing, it got a little chaotic. And also we got the latest GLEAT show, G Wrestling version 31, which is going to be interesting because we will be crowning brand new tag team champions, the G Infinity. Who will it be between Strong Hearts, or will it be, of course, Bulk Orchestra? We'll find out. But also, as you know, it's Wednesday, and we all know what that means. That means we're also going to be seeing AEW Dynamite. Who will walk out as the unified champion? Will it be CM Punk or Jon Moxley? We will find out as soon as possible. But also, we'll be doing a small talk about the brand new IWGP Women's Championship. We're going to be honest about what we see and what I thought. I feel I'm going to show that photo for you guys to share it. And of course, some news updates on what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, let's begin with Stardom on day 8 of the 5-star Grand Prix. Now, as I mentioned before, I did review the latest pay-per-view that took place the day after this, but now I get to review this one for all of you. Now, opening match was starting with the Blue Star block. We have Starlight Kid taking on Hana. Now, as you know, Hana has been a very capable future champion, but she's facing against someone she knows, but now more aggressive than ever. I think this is one of those matches where I think this is what led to this match for Hana to make the choice to team up with Koguma and Hazuki for the artist belts, and it was a pretty good one. But however, Hana put a lot of good effort no matter what, even though she's still young, but she's facing someone who's a bit more upper level than her, you know. So I think it was good, but Starlight Kid ended up applying her submission move, forcing her to tap out. With this, she gains 2 points. I believe Starlight Kid right now has 2 wins and 2 losses. As for Hana, well, this is sadly, she has no wins at all. She only had 5 pure losses, so we'll see about that. Now, our next 2 matches are from the Red Star block. Our first one is Mai Sakurai taking on Koguma. Now, as you know, Mai Sakurai has always been trying to prove how much she has grown strong. Don't get me wrong, DDM fans, just hear me out. But her mistake is attacking Koguma, but at the same time, she does the whole thing. Now, if you guys know Koguma, you know she'll put you in a camel clutch form, and she puts her hands on your head like this. What do you think she was doing? Simple. Peace! Yes, and I don't think Mai Sakurai realized what she just done. You just gave her ammunition. I'm not saying that Mai Sakurai is dumb, but she should have known better not to do that. So she tried everything, not to mention the massage that kind of worked in her favor. But keep in mind, Koguma is dubbed as the high-speed genius. That's the reason why. But unfortunately, she did not. Mai Sakurai came up short, ended up in a diving power body press, giving her the win. So right now, Koguma, on the other hand, has 3 wins and 3 losses with a total points of 6. Sakurai, on the other hand, only has 3 losses and 2 wins with 4 points. So we'll see about that. Now our next one. Oh boy, this one I knew this is gonna end up badly. It was Risa Sera versus Momokogo. Now, I love the fire that Momokogo does. I mean, she's always eager to prove she can be better than she ever was. Always try to hang out with the best wrestlers there is, even the ones who are upper level than her. But she's facing someone who is far more dangerous out of her own element. And I think that's the one thing. But the one thing was strange, it was really crazy, is the way Risa Sera grabbed Momokogo's legs and then she swung her around side, kind of like what we see with Miyu Watanabe and Claudio Castagnoli. Well, she tossed her right in her head, right to the chairs. I'm like, ugh, hopefully she's okay, because I hate to see her get damaged in the head. But unfortunately, she did not make it through. She lost by pinfall. I believe Risa Sera has 3 wins and 1 loss. As for Momokogo, much like Hanan, she has no wins. So forever, she only has 6 losses so far. Now our next match is the Blue Star. Well, the next 2 ones. We have Momo Watanabe taking on Ami Sourei. Now this is also another good match because, we know Momo what she's capable of. She's the last year's winner, but she's facing someone who is powerful and dangerous, and that is, of course, Ami Sourei. And man, she took her out completely with the like a thunderbolt move, giving her next 2 points. And I believe Ami Sourei right now has 3 wins and 1 losses with 6 points. As for Momo Watanabe, same thing, but the only difference is her record has 3 wins and 3 losses. So that's how it rolls up. Next up, we got Saya Ida versus Julia. Now, don't get me wrong, Julia is good, but Saya Ida, I have to say, she pulled up every ounce of strength and power into this match because she knows she's not facing no slouch. She's smart enough to figure that out. But I have to say, she gave Julia a run of her money. Trust me. I think Julia may be impressed by her, knowing that a girl of her size. Now keep in mind, Saya Ida is a very short girl, but powerful. She'd probably be impressed by her. But unfortunately, Julia applied the Stealth Viper on her and forced her to submit. 1, 2, 3. It was over right from there. So basically, she gained 2 points. Saya Ida, on the other hand, much like Hanan and Momokogo, she has no points. So she has 4 losses in her record. As for Julia, well, right now she is trying to get back on track. She only has, at this point, only 2 wins and 2 losses, 4 points. I know that many of you are saying that she is one of the most wrestlers that should be going to the top. Well, we don't know yet how far she'll get, but we'll see about that. Now, our next match, we take a break from the tournament. We have a 6-person tag match. Team number 1, we have Cosmic Angels, Unagi, Mina, Natsupoi, and Tam taking on Queen's Quest, Lady C, Utami Hayashida, Azumi, and Saya Kamitani. I thought this match was very interesting. Now, there are certain variables I did like in this moment of the match. There was a moment where there was like a clash between both Saya Ida and Mina Shirakawa. Now, you ask me, why is that? Mina's goal right now, keep in mind, she will always be someone that we enjoy. She only has won 2 championships. First one was the Artist Belt, and the other was the Future Belt. However, her next goal is the White Belt itself. Who has that belt? Well, that's Saya Kamitani. So that kind of tells us she has that in mind. She will get that title some way, somehow. But the real obvious question does remain, when will that happen? We will just let time go through and find out. But it was, of course, Tam Nakano that applied the Tiger Suplex onto Lady C, giving the win to Cosmic Angels. As you know, Cosmic Angels, this is more like, okay, we now got the momentum. So even though Tam and Natsupoi are entering for the Goddesses tag titles, and of course, Mina and Unagi, along with Saki, will be entering for the artist belts. So that kind of plays out. And what I failed to mention earlier today, this was the last time we see Koguma and Azuki wearing those belts before losing those titles to Tampoi. So that's what I'm putting out. Now our next match is the Blue Stars. We have Zuzu Suzuki versus Azuki. Now, I want to be fair with everyone. I think this was a pretty good match. Now, not because of the wins and losses, because it showed, okay, you got this young girl, who's like 19, 20 years old. She is amazing. You face Suzuki, who right now is on fire with the biggest momentum. It was great. I loved it. But unfortunately, this one ended in Azuki's favor with the Brainbuster giving her the win. So at this time, I believe Zuzu has no wins so far. She only has 2 losses in this. But as for Azuki, well, at this moment, she is currently way ahead of everybody. She is currently with 12 points, undefeated. Now, you can tell me this if you want. Does this mean that she could win the entire block, the A block, and possibly win these 5-star Grand Prix? Only time will tell. Now, keep in mind, anything from here on out and moving forward anything could change. But we will see when that day happens. Now, our next 2 matches, which are final ones, is the Red Star block. The first one is Saki Kashima versus Suri. Now, let me explain about this match that many people may have not known. Now, as you know, recently I have covered the Stardom press conference. There was one press conference I did not covered, which was the 5-star Grand Prix, when it first already been announced who's in what block. Kashima went a little bit dramatic. She was the drum queen. She was telling Stardom if there's any possible way to switch her for another group. They said no, because she knows that she'll be facing Sudi. And Sudi kind of looked at her, was like, what the hell is wrong with you? And she's like trying to tell her like that. And then she finally looked at her and was like, what? And then she started making fun of her. And everybody was laughing at her because she was being dramatic. But the one thing Kashima said, that she wants her to leave the ring and let her win by countout. It did not happen. But I knew that for some reason that Kashima was going to pull off another Mayu Iwatani. If you guys don't remember, she beat Mayu in 17 seconds. She tried that, failed. You could say in certain aspects, Sudi would have just kicked her head off. True. We would have saw that. But the last thing we did not anticipate is Kashima pulling off the Kishi Kaisei reverse, allowing herself to win. So Sudi was not completely. Now, I know some of you in the back of your heads probably saying, yes, Kashima wins. Does that mean she's going to get a title shot? Well, I don't know if she is considering it, because Sudi doesn't take these kind of losses cool. She kind of goes after those losses completely. She did mention in the post-match comments and begged the officials and the matchmakers, don't ever book her against Sudi. Ever. She doesn't want to face her. She's scared now because she knows this win is going to be bad news. I wouldn't be surprised if Sudi goes after her, but we'll see about that. Now, our next match is our main event. We have Saki of Colors / Cosmic Angels taking on DDM's Micah. Now, this is a very good match because it showed a little bit of the powerhouse type match that we can see. Now, if you guys ever seen Micah, she currently has, she's a very good powerhouse. But, of course, Saki has those strong kicks. But, unfortunately, Micah applied the Michinoku Driver 2, giving her the win. So this time she has 4 points, and I believe she's 2 wins and 2 losses. As for Saki, I believe she's in the same point number of 4 with 2 wins and 2 losses. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Saki right now. Saki Kashima, for her points, she has 2 wins and 3 losses. As for Sudi, 3 wins and 2 losses. So yeah, so practically anything could change from here on out, so I can't wait to see what's going to happen. I believe we are expecting another 5-star Grand Prix matches coming up soon, and this coming weekend on the 26th, we are expecting New Blood 4. I'm excited for that, for everybody. So, I think that's pretty much it with the Stardom stuff. Let's move on with ChocoPro. Okay, now we have a very special ChocoPro show for all of you. This is not one of the usual, 200 something, because this one is a Chris Brookes birthday special, as is it called. Yes, folks, Chris Brookes' birthday. Now, I know the one people he's going to have a hard time dealing with is Mei Suruga because, well, to be fair, Mei Suruga is a party pooper. She likes to ruin people's days. But today, it was only a one match only. Chris Brookes not only teamed up with, of course, his tag team partner, member of CDK, Masahiro Takanashi. He teams up with Too Much Energy, Chiko Shikawa. Now, you probably say, why would he team up with her? Well, simple. There's the bit of the rivalry between both Chi and, of course, one of her opponents right across from her. And that opponent is none other than Mei Suruga, a.k.a. the Apple Goblin, a.k.a. who I like to call the Sly Devil. Now, she teams up with two other guys. I think they're from the Pro Wrestling Bazaar promotion. If you guys never heard of that promotion, that is more independent promotion for, death matches, hardcore on certain times. They one time had they were once a sister company to Wrestle Universe, with DDT and all that. But I was surprised that they were going to be there. So the ones who came is Yuto Miyamoto and, of course, the founder of Pro Wrestling Bazaar, Azami Kodaka. Now, this match was intense in certain aspects, and of course, they did everything like any other type of match we see, bringing a little bit of the hardcore status, but not breaking glass, but using whatever toys or plunder it's available. Now, there are moments, of course, that both teams confront each other, which is normal. But I think the one thing that was crazy is, of course, I don't know how crazy Mei Suruga is, because, I feel like Kodaka and Miyamoto can get along with her because she requested, let's run over CDK with the motorcycle. Huh? So it was like that. So she drove a motorcycle, run them over. So it became a hit and run situation. Even Balinaki was watching this. He even tweeted about it. It's like, what is Mei doing? So basically, things are out of control with Mei Suruga now that Balin is not in Japan. But, however, it did give an opportunity for the match to overturn in favor of Miyamoto and Kodaka, because it was Miyamoto that picked up the victory for his team. But the interesting part, he pinned Chris Brookes. You heard me. But here's the best part. Because of this match, Kodaka and Miyamoto get a shot of the Asian Dream Tag Team titles, which is the last thing that, of course, CDK wants. They don't want no challengers. They choose the challengers that fits them, but not this time. And of course, Chris Brookes is treating this worst birthday ever. Well, someone had to ruin it for him, but that's how it works in that way. But of course, the entire show doesn't end just there. It ends with Janken. Now, I don't know if Kodoka or Miyamoto knows how things are worked down there in ChocoPro at the Chocolate Square. And Ichiyan Chocolate Square. I don't know if they know the stories, but they put up their effort. Not to lie about that. But unfortunately, the winner is Masahiro Takanashi, but he did give his half of the chocolate to Chris Brookes to get his spirit back after losing badly. So, I mean, it works. But we'll see about that. So right now, I think we are done with ChocoPro. I believe it's time to do the latest GLEAT show, G Pro Wrestling version 30. GLEAT, I made a mistake. I mentioned this is the G Pro Wrestling version 31. I said 30, but this is the 31, just to make that everyone clear. This was the recent show that took place on. So it opened up with 60 seconds. Keiichi Sato and Jun Toncho taking on Kaz Hayashi and Takanori Ito. Now, the last time these two teams confront each other, it didn't go so well. Well, coming from Hayashi and Ito, because apparently Hayashi misfired. So I think Ito's going to give another opportunity to see how this goes. But it was pretty well okay. But unfortunately, once again, the misfire happened. So Hayashi accidentally got Ito. Ito was not happy about it, despite the fact this gave Keiichi Sato to pick up the win, and 60 seconds won. But I think the one thing that was so interesting is knowing that Ito realized that he's not a happy camper. I can tell by the look of Ito's face that he doesn't like to lose. I mean, he's incredible as a singles competitor, but on certain times, a tag team, that's a rare occasion. But he actually suplexed Hayashi. I feel bad for him, but yeah. Next up, we got Yu Iizuka versus Minoru Tanaka. Now, this is a good match. I liked it. It was more of the younger generation versus the older generation. But, of course, I don't know where this attitude of Tanaka come from. When the referee was knocked down, Tanaka low-blowed Iizuka out of nowhere. But it backfired the first time. But second time, when he tried to pin him, it worked. Basically, a win's a win, but I can't believe that Tanaka did that. Next up, we got a UWF tag team match rules. We have Michiko Miyagi with Maya Fudaka taking on Mika Iwata and Chihiso Hashimoto. Now, this is not the first time Hashimoto has confronted Miyagi and Fukada. This time she brought in Mika Iwata, who's I've seen many times on Sendai Girls. So this was a very interesting matchup. Now, I know Miyagi is very much the top girl in GLEAT. I've always pictured that. But Fukada has always been who's the new girl, is willing to learn under Miyagi. But the one thing she doesn't want to do is to fail Miyagi, knowing that she is, the top. But unfortunately, it was Miyagi Fukuda, who actually lost the match, all thanks to Hashimoto. I can tell by the look of Miyagi's face, like, she knows that she lost, but the fact is that Fukada's taking this too personally, taking to this hard. Now, I have seen Miyagi lose many times, but there are many times she has won by redemption. So I'm sure in this case, I can see Miyagi playing mentor to Fukuda. Now, those who don't know, Fukuda doesn't have a wrestling background. She does have a karate background. But I'm sure she'll help her out on that level. Now, our next match is a very interesting trios match. We have Hayato Tamura from Bulk Orchestra teaming with versus Tam Tamura, all the way from All Japan, and someone I did not know it has changed its gimmick because I haven't been seeing All Japan for quite some time. Rising Hayato. Rising Hayato changes its image, and I'm like, what the hell? I'm missing out on this, you know what I mean? But it was interesting. But I wasn't sure how this is gonna go down. But there was moments where it looked more like Rising Hayato is being cocky. But the match should mostly focus on Tamura, on both on both Tamaras, Hayato Tamara and Dan Tamara. But I think that tells us the story. Okay, so focus on those two. But for whatever reason, Hayato Tamara was able to win the match, but he refuses to leave, despite the fact that he's the bad guy in the story. But he feels like he could work with these guys in certain aspect because all of them were blondes. So he told in the post match that he wants to team up with these guys. Now I don't know how Kawakami from Bulk Orchestra will feel about that, but I'm sure he's going to keep this separate away from Bulk Orchestra. So we'll see about that in the future. Now, next match we have Strong Hearts, Issei Onitsuka and Shiga Ori teaming up with Soma Watanabe to take on Bulk Orchestra, Czech, Shimatani, Quiet Storm, and Flamita. Now, this is a very interesting test up because the thing is, as you know, I mentioned time and time again, Strong Hearts and Bulk Orchestra hate each other, trying to prove who is the dominating faction in GLEAT. In this case, it was Flamita to prove Bulk Orchestra is the real dominating team, and that played out very well in certain aspects. So that's great. But it was Flamita who pinned Watanabe, who is not a member of Strong Hearts. I did picture this, that Watanabe could be the one to be the fall guy because he's the weakest link. Next up, we got a little surprise visit from Kento Kiyahara from All Japan, taking on 60 Seconds leader Tetsuya Izushi. It was a good match. I mean, don't get me wrong. Kento, he's a fantastic wrestler. He is a champion. Tetsuya Izushi, I know for a fact he will be a champion, but he's still got a lot to learn. He needs to get his 60 Seconds faction on track. But it was Kiyahara who picked up the win with the German suplex, giving them the win. Now, our next match, which is the semifinal, is the finals of the G Infinity Tag Team titles. We have, of course, Strong Hearts, consistent of T-Hawk and Shima, versus Bulk Orchestra, Kazuma Sakamoto, and, of course, Ruchi Kawakami. But in commentating, we saw Masato Yoshino, who retired last year from pro wrestling in Dragon Gate. If you guys know this or not, Masato and Shima, they go way back. They're good friends. They've known each other from the Dragon Gate times, and it was great. So I wasn't sure how this is going to turn out, but the match was pretty good. I can see in this type, because here's the way I see it. You have two of the most dominating factions within GLEAT. Now there's three, but before there were three, they're trying to prove who is the dominating. Now this is like that. Okay, who's going to be the faction that will obtain these championships? As you know, Strong Hearts, they have the G-Rex title, but now they want to obtain these. But it was a pretty good match, but it was, of course, Kawakami who picked up the victory on Shima. And it was pretty impressive. And not to mention, very emotional for Kawakami, knowing that he finally did it, that he did exactly what he wanted, to win these championships no matter what. And the person who present them is Masato Yoshino. Now, at first, he wasn't sure what to do because of Kazuma Sakamoto. Now, those who don't know, Kazuma Sakamoto back in Dragon Gate was a member of RED, and he's no longer with the company anymore because, as you know, RED is done. Now it's Z-Brats, and basically Masato Yoshino wasn't sure what to make of it, but I think Kazuma Sakamoto felt, okay, look, I get it, you don't trust me, but this has nothing to do with that. This is now. So he's recognizing, look, Dragon Gate, that whole thing is done. This is now. So he's willing to put that to the side and focus, realizing, yes, he has accomplished something more than he couldn't possibly imagine. So Masato took a photo with them and bounced out. As soon as the other members of Bulk Orchestra shows up, all of a sudden they were attacked by Hayato Tamara and Czech Shimatani. Now, Quiet Storm was a bit shocked what just happened, but I can only speculate now that it appears that some group members within Orchestra want to be the first challengers. So I think in a way it's like, why couldn't you just say it? Just say you want to challenge them instead of beating the crap out of them. But I'm sure Sakamoto and Kawatami would deal with it. But yeah. But we'll see what happens then. Now our main event is the G-Rex Championship. We have the challenger all the way from New Japan, Doiki versus El Lindaman. This match was intense. Now I have seen Doiki had some pretty good matches. Even if he loses the matches, they're amazing. And like one of my favorite matches of Doiki is against one of his closest friends, Taichi. That's a match I will never forget. But this is like that particular match opened the door for me to see who Doiki really is. And I think this is one of those moments where Doiki has to step up and prove that he can hang with guys like El Lindaman. And I think he tried to apply the Doki Choki at least 3 times in this match, but it did not work. However, it was El Lindaman who in fact defeated him by applying the German suplex. 1, 2, 3, it was over. And of course he gave out his little promo, but something happened right as soon as he was done. We just saw the appearance of former Dragon Gate wrestler Kaito Ishida. Now Kaito Ishida did say he was a free agent, but I did not speculate that he was going to go with GLEAT, but it would make sense why. The reason is this. Let me explain this about Ishida that I learned about Dragon Gate. If you guys knew about Dragon Gate, there is one of the particular titles known as Open the Brave Gate Championship. Now that particular title was designed for high flyers, wrestlers who can high fly. But when Ishida was the champion, he made this champion more of a technical grappling aspect, and Ishida was good at it, and was impressed by that. So it would make sense to me that he would go to GLEAT. I wouldn't be surprised if he competes in UWF rules in GLEAT. But we'll see what happens in the near future. I can't wait to see what he's going to bring to the table. So right now, let's move on to our last review, AEW Dynamite. Okay, AEW Dynamite opened up with the face-to-face confrontation between Daniel Garcia and Jericho. Now, we saw what happened last week with Daniel Garcia having one of the most incredible matches with Daniel Bryan. However, what happened after the match, Danielson wanted to show respect to Garcia, but Jericho struck him from behind. And this led to tensions between Garcia because Garcia admits that Bryan Danielson is his hero. So he explained what he did. This was his moment. Despite the fact that he lost, this was his moment. He felt that Jericho tried to steal that from him. Now, you can say it's nice of him that he's changing the pace. But what does this mean for Jericho? Does it mean he understands, or he's just doesn't care? Well, I think, in my opinion, I don't think he cares about what Garcia thinks, but he understands him. But the fact is, Jericho wants an answer. Is he in, or is he out? So he's kind of building this pressure onto him. Now, Bryan Danielson shows up. He tells him that he has a right to choose what he wants to do. Stay as a sports entertainer or be a wrestler. So he's telling him the choice is yours. Just like he did believe that, said before. So Garcia cannot give a straight answer as long as Jericho is pressuring him. But of course, Jericho does not appreciate the fact that Bryan Danielson got up into his business once again. But of course, they're going to sell this once and for all and all out. But before that happened, Hager shows up, sneak attack, and dismantle him, to send a direct message to him. Now, our next match, we have Dax Harwood versus Jay Lethal. This match, it was led because of Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler decided to help out their former Pinnacle brother, Wardlow. So Jay Lethal, feels like, okay, I respect FTR, but you guys showing up, helping Wardlow, I lost my respect for you. So it was a very good, pure technical match. But however, once again, Jay Lethal stole this match. But however, in All Out, we're going to have a bit of a match where Jay Lethal will be teaming up. But the initial assumption, we thought it was going to be him with Sanjay Dutt. It was later revealed it's not going to be that. It's going to be Wardlow and FTR taking on Jay Lethal and a couple of friends of theirs. And this was the shocking revealment. It was going to be the Motor City Machine Gun. So that's going to be huge right there. Now, we get an interview from Thunder Rosa, giving the disappointing news that she won't be in All Out due to an injury she obtained, which unexpectedly, we know she was set to face against Toni Storm, and so basically, from what later was told, we're gonna have once again another interim championship match like we did with the AEW World Title. So we're gonna expect that, and it was already chosen that we're gonna have Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, Toni Storm, and Hikaru Shida involved. So that's gonna be a very interesting dynamic. Now we do get our match between Colton Gunn and his dad Billy. So as you know, this thing happened because of Stokey Hathaway. He shows up and all of this, but of course, Billy lost to his own son Colton Gunn with the Colt 45, just like that. And then of course they started stomping on Billy and the Acclaim. But of course Stokey gave his business cards to the Gun Club, having them join his little group, whatever. But all of a sudden, Swerve in Our Glory show up. Now it's still unclear why. Why did they make the drastic save? Well, in an interview, they said that they didn't do this because, oh, they love the Acclaim, or they did because I kind of forgot about this. The Acclaim are in the top 5, so basically they're handing them over the keys, like saying you guys are in the top 5, so why not? So it's gonna happen All Out. So it's gonna be interesting to see that. But man, I wouldn't be surprised if the Gun Club will, complain about this, saying that they should have been getting that opportunity. But hey, Swerve in Our Glory, they make the call. That's how it works. Now, we do have Britt Baker taking on Kylie King. This match, as you know, after what happened in Dark, it shows Britt Baker's not going to take this kindly. And of course, Cleveland has no love for Britt Baker because it's all about Pittsburgh, But it was the lockjaw that finished off Kylie King. And then, of course, Britt Baker gives out her promo and all of this, because saying that she is the true champion and all this. Toni Storm shows up to give a helping hand, but we should have known it was going to be an ambush. But luckily for Toni Storm, she had backup, which is the former AEW Women's Champion, Hikaru Shida, to save the day. But we will see those two in All Out, all 4 of these women in All Out, but we also will see them in a tag team match next week, which is Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. And of course, we have Toni Storm and Hikaru Shida. We know those two could work together, but it's going to be fun. Now, we have the AEW World Unification Championship. This is a very interesting dynamic. The match was good in certain things, but I think what happened is there was a good point that JR mentioned in the commentary, and I think this is something that many fans probably asked themselves that too. Was CM Punk 100%? I mean, look, I'm not a wrestler. I don't want to rush things back to make things worse for myself, including if I'm in my health. But that's the thing that kind of played out. But you did saw there was like a bit of the hurt coming from CM Punk's foot. But all of a sudden, I think the surprising is how the match ended. Moxley squashed CM Punk. That was like, what the hell? So it was crazy. But he is now the undisputed AEW World Champion. So what does this mean for Punk? Well, hopefully for him, he gets the heel up. That's what matters. Now, we get an interview with Christian Cage. As you know, he is not happy with how things turned out for him and Jungle Boy. So this time, he's going to accept his match in All Out. And that's going to be interesting. Yeah, it looks like we were heading there. Now, we had a very emotional promo with Ricky Starks. I have to say, Ricky, I feel he's like the hero in this story. Because here's the way it goes. Ricky was willing to say that, he had always had Hobbs' back. He talked about how when he broke his neck, Hobbs was there calling him every day, all this and that. And he says, whenever you ate, I ate, you ate with me. Whenever I have the spotlight, I make sure you get the spotlight too. So it's more like he's saying, I gave you everything, Hobbs, and this is what you do to me. But he was willing to admit this. If you were willing to stab a nightmare, Ricky Starks says he should have known that he was going to do the same thing. If you guys don't know what we're referring to, look what happened with Cody Rhodes. Remember, it was 2 years ago, or I think, where of course we saw Hobbs turned on Cody Rhodes, and that was something that happened. So Ricky's realizing he should have known that was going to happen. So he's willing to take this fight with him all the way to All Out. And I feel that, Ricky Starks has a right for this because he didn't do anything bad to him. But Hobbs felt like he's a mercenary that failed to do the one thing he should have done, protect Starks. And I think Starks has felt, I gave this guy everything, and now this is what he does. But we'll see what happens then. Now, our main event is the semifinals of the AEW Trios match. We got the United Empire versus the Triangle now. Bit of history between two Brit boys. We're talking about Pac and Will Ospreay. This is something awesome. I loved the match, how it went down because there were too many spots. But I think the one thing that was surprising is Kip Sabian showed up and attacked Pac. Now, I don't recall if there was any stories built with Pac and Kip Sabian before Sabian was injured. But it's great to see him back, no doubt about that. But unfortunately, the United Empire won this match when they applied that one member when they pinned Phoenix. However, their opponents for next week is the Elite. The Elite shows up, getting in their faces. But those who don't know, someone posted this on Twitter. What happened in the aftermath after that confrontation? Well, Kenny had some strong words towards Will Ospreay. He tells Will Ospreay that, no one gives a damn about your matches. Nobody knows who you are because of me. So he said, I gave you the opportunity to fill up my shoes. But Will Ospreay had other things. But here's the thing that this is. Kenny Omega knows how to push his buttons. He tells him, I beat Okada, but you couldn't. So he knows he has that match under his skin because Will Ospreay has never beaten Okada because he thought he did. So basically, Kenny knows how to push his buttons. So the obvious question is, will those buttons work next week? Because the way I see it, Will Ospreay, in my opinion, he may be talented, but he is claiming the world belongs to him. But he's not going to let a guy like Kenny try to rain on his parade. Well, Kenny rains on everyone's parade no matter what. That's how I picture it. But we'll see what happens next week in the finals. But we do have that other semifinal match. We have the Dark Order versus the House of Black. I think that's happening on Rampage. So we'll see what happens then. So right now, let's move on to our last thing. We're going to do some news updates. Okay, here are some news updates. Now, a bit of sad news in the New Japan world. If you guys have been aware, there'll be the Burning Spirit tour that they will be conducting real soon. Apparently, Alex Conlon was supposed to be part of this tour, but unfortunately, he got injured, and I think due to a left knee, I think a left shoulder injury. So basically, he's out. But luckily, they were able to replace him with LA Dojo Young Lion DKC. I'm not sure if he's a suitable replacement, but I can see he'll be getting some good opportunities doing the Burning Spirit tour. Next up, as you all know, I'm talked about ChocoPro. Well, it turns out that, things are turning exactly like I predicted. Kodaka and Miyamoto will be getting an Asian Dream tag team title shots against CDK at the upcoming Gatoh Move next month for Phoenix Rises, which is going to be good. Prestige Wrestling, as you know, I've been talking about how they're bringing wrestlers into, well, apparently another wrestler coming from Dragon Gate will be making his appearance on Roseland 4 on Halloween, and that is another La Estrella. Now, if you guys ever seen the guy, he's amazing. He's a good high flyer. But yeah, I'm so excited for that. Good news for all those IWC No Hold Barred fans. Apparently, we have the next upcoming event, Volume 32, that will be taking place on the 10th of September. It's going to be very good. Still don't know yet what the card's going to be, but I can't wait to see it. Now, here's some GCW updates that's been going on. As you know, GCW will be heading to Japan for 3 shows in Tokyo at Shiba First Ring. We have Mance Warner and Alex Colon will be heading there. Now, I have to say, this is awesome to see those guys. I don't know who else is going to be there, but I'm happy that they will. Hope Nick Gage could go. But we also got, for other appearances, we have Jonathan Gresham will be appearing on the 23rd for Shooting Star. And, of course, we have the co-event with Black Label Pro 4-Cup stuff. It's already been told that Mike Bailey will be facing Kylie Ray. So I'm like, whoa, that's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see how that's going to be. Don't know how the Smiley girl is going to be dealing with this, but it's going to be fun. Now, for the upcoming event with Circle 6, for the Bited You Scum, it's going to take place on the 18th. But however, they announced for Mexican deathmatch wrestler Aeroboy will be making his appearance there. It's still unclear who his opponent's going to be. I'm sure I'm going to assume possibly Acticus Cogar, because he always challenged the best wrestlers in the world involving death matches. So I wouldn't be surprised. And then finally, DEADLOCK Pro Wrestling has announced for their upcoming event later on in September on the 17th. We have Sumi Sakai will be making her appearance, taking on KZT. This is going to be very interesting to see. Can't wait for that match, especially seeing Sumi Sakai, who will be her last year being a pro wrestler before she retires. So I'm excited. So right now, let's just end it right here, and let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we do got Impact Wrestling and NXT UK. Now, I know we talked about NXT UK, but I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to enjoy what the last remaining tapes they've done so far before we see it disappears or say goodbye to it. So that's not going to stop me. Now, if there's any other wrestling events I haven't seen yet, there are those I haven't, I will catch up to that as soon as possible. So right now, this is what I'm going to say. I know people are talking about what's going on with AEW. I probably will talk about that next time on my podcast to see how that goes. But for right now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.